Hey, you guys. So, welcome to a Manifesting Magic in Your Everyday Life. Now, we have an amazing guest here today. So, you can see Shayla here, goes by Shay J. She's a Canadian dancer, an actress, a singer, and host, former NBA dancer, Miss Canada Teen Global 2010, and a thriving triple threat artist, in LA. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Shayla when I was out in LA, and I connected with her right away. She just has this energy that she puts off that is so genuine. And with all the talent that she has, she's putting it to use out there in LA because it's just such a competitive and comparison environment. And I was talking earlier about that. That can happen whether it be in a corporate world or just if you happen to live in a city where there's a whole bunch of people wanting the same thing, right? It's kind of like being in the corporate world. But we want to also talk about how you connected with your intuition and all of that. So first of all, welcome.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. You're amazing, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, you're just like letting out your energy here on the page as well and social media. So we really appreciate it. Now, I talk a lot about manifesting and connecting to your intuition. And at what point in your life did you realize that you needed to look inwards some?
Yeah, well, it was more so in my teen years. I was always kind of into energy, and I respect all religions. I respect everything, whatever you believe in for you and what works for you. That's awesome. For me, I was really intrigued by science, energy, quantum physics, and just that there's a lot more going on than we're told and what we even know about. So I started doing some research when I was about 13, 14 years old, into energy. I started watching The Secret, Law of Attraction, and diving really deep into all that. I got my first set of oracle cards, which are positive affirmations and messages. Everything's energy. So, you get 52 card deck and you can pull a card and just a message is given to you based on a question you're holding, or if you just want something for the day. So I'm deep into that and I use that to help me every day. But yeah, I just kind of always had this inner knowing, this knowing that I'm here to spread a big message and to affect people on a massive level in order to really dive deeper into themselves and go out there and get what they want for themselves in their life and accomplish what they want to do. So I think really it's about listening to your heart. And I've always really tried to do that. It's so hard nowadays with, our minds and ego and all the things that are thrown at us on a daily basis of being just bombarded. And it's kind of tough to really, I don't know, decide is your decision coming from your heart or is it coming from your ego in your head? So I think that's the question that we all really need to consciously ask ourselves always, with every choice, with everything we're doing each day, because it's so easy to get derailed, get sidetracked. And I think just really living through your heart and making choices from your heart is where it's so key.
Yeah, so you talk about all of this stuff and connecting and listening to whether or not your intuitive self or your ego self talking. And I mentioned at the beginning about being in certain professions and fields where it's more competitive than maybe something else. And so being in a competitive area, living, right, even when you're living in a competitive area, you really have to take a step back and figure out, was it your intuitive or your ego self? Now, what kind of clues clue you in on whether or not this feeling is coming from your ego self when you're in the situation?
So, yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. And it can be even tough for me because you get excited and then you think opportunity and then you're like, oh, is this really my heart? Because you're feeling the excitement, or is it ego based? So I always try to tune in and really take a breath and let the nerves kind of get out, because when you're nervous or you're excited, you really can't tell if it's from ego or heart. It can be really tough. So I try to ground myself, just make sure I'm really coming from a positive place and a thoughtful place? And is it beneficial for me, not only me, but kind of the whole? And yeah, I definitely take a breath, like go inside yourself. Does it feel awesome? Like, are you emanating love? Does it feel great? You're going to know if it's coming from your heart or your head, because your head will be like questioning more. You're just going to get like, oh, but I'm not sure. And the back and forth and like, oh, well, I think this or that. And it's just kind of like, you're just not sure. It's just foggy. Whereas heart will always be like, oh no, this feels good. And when it feels good, do it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And that is really smart. The thing you said was to slow down and get all of that excitement out. Not that you're not going to keep that excitement, but just that initial excitement, where you're over the top, not even thinking straight because you're so excited, and then see where you go from there. Another thing that I always like to think of as far as ego goes is, are you feeling like you have to beat somebody for this certain thing, right? Or, yeah, I gotta rush because I have to get there before they do. And in an industry like you're in, that is something that I know really separates out the ego and the intuitive self, right? Because you got to be like, okay, am I doing this because I just really want to like win this because I want to beat all these other people, or am I doing this because it feels right? And then that's still a fine line. I'm not saying that's still like a definite line, but that's just like another way besides what you said. I mean, if you put all those things into practice, you might be able to say, okay, this feels good. And maybe have to walk away from an opportunity that you may think is amazing, but is it really your path? I mean, have you run across that before?
Oh yeah, many times, and I've done it myself. I've been out in LA almost, maybe will be 3 years. I have a dance agent. I've had theatrical and commercial agents. I'm not represented right now. I'm kind of looking at the moment. But I think too, so many people come out here just wanting any and every opportunity because it's so cutthroat. They just want it. They're hungry, which I respect. But on the same level, I think more people need to consciously go into their decisions of what jobs are good for them. What ones do they want to do? So many people, like, so much time is wasted because people are like going into these auditions with the thought process of like, I just want to book anything. And when you're doing that, you're not really going to get the results you want. And then you're put in this competitive mindset and just like, let me try and beat everyone. And then you have to do a longer audition process because so many people go. I've been in like 6 to 12 hour long auditions and it's ridiculous. And I'm like, could you please just typecast us so then we don't have to waste our entire day? Because I'd rather, if I'm not the person, just tell me. That's totally cool. So yeah, I think really for entertainers in Hollywood, like, why are you going to this audition? Does it truly like fuel your fire? Does it excite you to even think about the outcome? If you got it, would you be happy doing it?
Right.
Don't just go because you need a paycheck and you want the money, because again, it it just shows like more competitiveness. It just kind of separates us all again, and ego steps in. And I think bringing forth, like I was telling you, a conscious Hollywood and how you make your choices and what gigs you're taking and what you want to do is so important.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, from looking and listening to what you're saying, and even the times that I've been in places like LA or New York and other places that are really big and have a lot of the same type of people going for the same jobs or things. Um,
Yeah.
I want to talk about energies around that though for a minute, because when I go to these places for things, for interviews and to meet people and things, I'm going and then I'm coming back home. And I live in Florida and I live by the ocean and it's calm. It's just calm. But when I
Mhm.
go there, I can feel those energies. And I'm able to protect myself because I put up my little Cathlene bubble theory I talk about, and I allow those negative competitiveness things to bounce off. But when you're living in that every day, how do you handle that?
It can be really tough, and I've gone through it myself. And especially when you're trying to not only audition and be up in that mix, you're also trying to juggle your life and work and trying to make your whole schedule
Mhm.
okay for you and being able to go out and audition. So, and you can feel people's energy the minute you're walking into an audition. If everyone's peppy and excited, it's awesome because that's contagious. So, like, if you're walking into an audition where everyone's just like in it, which I get it, it is cutthroat. Everyone wants it. But at the same time, I'm trying to like bring to light, can't we all be excited and happy for each other and like pump each other up and just know that whoever gets it is it's meant to get it. It's their turn kind of thing, you know? So I'm kind of the same. I always put up, mine's a Merkaba. It's a tetrahedron. My lingo is always bad. But spiritual kind of form of deflecting anything that is not my energy, or so that I don't pick up on other things that I don't need to, because I think a lot of people they are empathic. They do feel people's energy. Within seconds of meeting people, feel what they're feeling and know along the lines of what they're thinking. And it's actually it's a gift and a curse in a sense. But I really try to ground myself, whether that's going outside, taking deep breaths in, even like touching my bare feet to the ground. So often we go through days where we don't even like touch the earth. And it's just, I think, a matter of doing that. I clear my energy with sage. I'm definitely on the more hippie spiritual side. Some people might be like, "Oh, she's the woo woo girl," but I'm all about it because it really, I've seen it work in my life. I'm a walking example of watching and seeing these things work for me and manifest in my life and be of help to my path and what I'm going for and what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just putting up that bubble, clearing your energy, really knowing if you're feeling something weird, like, is it your energy or could it be someone around you? And tuning into that too and letting it go if it's not yours.
And I think that's a good point you bring up, because if you're in an audition or an interview, or there's multiple people going for the same thing, and you get that uncomfortable feeling, taking that second, that minute, right, the step back, just like you said when you get really excited, the same kind of thing. Take a step back, and like you're saying, figure out, is this coming from somebody else or is this coming from me? Because that doesn't mean you need to turn around and leave, right?
Yeah.
Because this may not be your issue. This could be somebody else's, and you just need to protect yourself from it and then recenter. Okay, what am I here for? Am I here for the right reasons? So that's a great point. And because of all the success that you've had in your past before you got to LA, and even now, I find it very inspiring, and you're just a great role model for women and men that are out there in this kind of cutthroat sort of profession. And I hate to even call it that, but you hear so much negativity around it. And unfortunately, that's because the media typically likes to show the negative things because that's drama, right? That's like, oh
Yeah.
man, that's cool. But
That's what the ego loves.
there's another clue, right? I mean, if it's all negative, it's your ego going for it and feeding into it. Now, we talk about surrounding yourself with people out there. Do you, and I kind of think I already might know the answer to this one because do you really pay attention to who you hang out with?
Absolutely. That is huge. And so many people in LA kind of mess up their opportunity based on the crowds and groups they get into. I myself went into kind of my dark year. I got into the service industry, the bar industry. I was working a lot. I was working 6 to 7 shifts, sometimes a week, being around so many energies, drinking, was exposed to alcohol all the time. And the people in that world, that's what they were doing too. And that's what fueled their fire. And that's their path at the moment. And so you get so wrapped up in those people and the situations. And then I got myself into a kind of not so great relationship at the time. And it really affected my confidence, my self-esteem. And I had to look at myself like the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and this is so true, is who you are and what you emanate. And I'm very picky now in who I spend my time with and who I hang out with, because one, my time is so valuable to me now. And as I grow up and get older, like, what are you doing to make a difference and create change and fuel your own fire? And that is so important in your time to do that. And the more you waste of it, like, oh, I'm just going to go do this, or, oh, I just need a night out, or this or that. In LA, it's so easy to do that because every night is a night out. Every night there's something to do. Every night you're getting invited to stuff. So, and I think so many people in LA chase these red carpet events and chase these big names and going to these things that they think could be their next break. And I hate to break it to these people, but it is not your way in at all. You are just another person, body there to be at the event. And I mean, sure, there's exceptions to that, and you got to play your cards right in networking properly. But I say anything past 9 p.m. is no longer business. And especially,
you're right.
Yeah. And it's, and again, like, play your cards right. Yes. Show up for people and support people in their events. If you're going to go to a screening, or if you're going to go to, I don't know, something that's, talent related or entertainment related, sure, but be respectful. And again, who are you hanging out with? Who are you going to these things with? Is so important. And if you're in relationships, sexually, not sexually, just partner, whatever, really consciously look at who they are as a person and if they're affecting your life in a good way. Do they bring out the best in you? Do they lift you up, and encourage you to keep doing what you're doing in the hard times, because it is not easy out here.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, and what you just said, I actually said on the live earlier too, is when you're in a relationship, I just want to reiterate this because here are 2 people that really pay attention to energies and our empaths and watch who we surround ourselves with. If you are in a relationship, whether it be, just a friendship or more intimate than that, if they do not bring out the best in you, you need to rethink that relationship. And
totally,
that is, for me, that's what I've gone on for years and years. I mean, I say years and years now because, I just turned 47. So, time's going by. I can look back at the ones that didn't bring out the best in me. Those were not good relationships, meaning they led me on paths that I learned a lot of lessons on. So I don't regret any of it, but they were hard lessons, some of them. And knowing when you can get rid and weed out those friends that are not bringing out the best in you. And I feel like even in a non-competitive environment, it's not easy to let people go, right? It's just not. But knowing that neither one of you are doing each other a favor. So, it's time to move on. And it's even more important, like you say, when you're in a situation like that, where things are so competitive, to be sure that, because things might be short-lived, right? I mean, I'm imagining, like you said, if people are in competitive industries like this, like I said, this can happen in the corporate world. This can happen anywhere. Okay. This can happen if you work at a bookstore with 5 people. Okay. This can really happen anywhere if you're going after the same thing. But, don't wait too long to weed out.
No, yeah. And I've gone through it too here. It's even like you make friends and you think, oh, we'll work together and they're kind of on the same path. But sometimes it's not always like that. And you have to be careful of like, who really has your back, like who really would be there for you and doesn't just want to use your contacts or this or that. And I give everyone a chance. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes there comes a point where maybe someone's not like doing harm to you in your life in that context, but they're derailing you. They're throwing you off path. And that's where it comes into like, I want to cut curves. I want to bypass all these learning lessons. Life is about learning. But if you're constantly throwing yourself into the same cycle of learning, just the same situation, but different faces, you're just going to have years go by and be like, what the hell what just happened? I just learned the same shitty lesson for X amount of years. And here I am when I could have cut all those corners had I would have, you know, figured that out and not put myself in those situations.
Right. And you wouldn't be where you are today. So the lessons, as we both talked about before, are great, right? It's great to have those lessons, but the sooner you can, kind of move on, basically, because when we're talking about creating the life we desire, manifesting the life we desire, and energies, it's kind of goes along with clutter as well. So if you have clutter, also clutter in friendship, right? Things that aren't going well, things that aren't leading you on the right path, that's gonna block things that are for you to come in, right? Like that's gonna block what's waiting for you. It's like here, it's like I always like to think of it as it's like right here waiting, and it can't go anywhere. It doesn't have room on your couch, okay? Because you got your couch full. So we got to take some of that off the couch.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that people don't realize. They're like, oh, I want this or that. I really want to manifest XYZ. Well, you can't manifest XYZ if you're in a vibration that's not vibrating to XYZ.
Exactly.
And you're not going to have the open space for that thing to come in if you're holding on to old energy, whether that's relationships, whether that's furniture, whether that's like objects that are just not, that are in your orbit and in your life that are not good for what you really truly want.
Yes, I totally agree. And so out there and everywhere, it's a good message for everybody. Look around for the 5 people that you surround yourself with. You hear this all the time, and there is so much truth to this. And if you're in a relationship that's an intimate relationship, say, or somebody that you're living with or that you see all the time, and they're not bringing out the best in you, it's time. I mean, you're not doing either one of you any good. And
Mom says, next.
Right. And because, the thing is that I like to bring to people's attention, and I know you feel the same way, is that it may not necessarily mean that that person's a bad person, right?
Right.
You're just not aligned. You're not bringing out the best in each other. You're holding each other back or bringing you down a path that is not your path. Then it's time to just kind of move on. And I just want to go back to what you said before about, going to things just because you think that it's going to get you, somebody's going to be in your network and you're going to need contacts and all this kind of stuff. And there's something to be said about networking, right? I mean, I love meeting new people all the time. But I, like you, when I meet them, I can tell right away with the energies, whether or not we're aligned or not. And I still am grateful that I met the person, but that doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going to be continuing on with a relationship of some sort. But, with people being genuine, right? I mean, all people really have to do is be genuinely who they are. And I talk a lot about self-perception and feeling great about who you are and knowing that you are awesome. And basically, what do you think and feel about you? Well, if you think and feel about you that you aren't that great or that you're not that smart or that somebody else is better than you, then you're going to let out those energy vibrations, and that's who you're going to bring in as well. Exactly. So when you were talking about going to these things just for those reasons, the first thing that came to my mind was, but if everybody was authentically them, then you would be going, like you said, to support somebody. I'm excited for this person. And when you were talking earlier about, everybody going into auditions and being grateful for each other and, happy that somebody's getting this part or that part, I'm picturing like you walking in, like giving everybody high fives, like, yeah, man, I hope you get this. And if people did that, though, imagine the energies, how much different the energies would be in the room.
Totally. It would be amazing. And I really hope that we can change that in Hollywood and that can happen, because I think nowadays when people go into situations and they are trying to genuinely do that, a lot of people take it as, oh, they're just trying, like, take it in a bad way, because their ego sets in, like, oh, you don't really want me to win. I know it, because you want it too. And all those little things come in your mind, and it's like, no, what if I actually really do want you to get it? Like, exactly. Whoever it's meant for should get it. And and with the whole tuning into people's energies and making sure they're genuine, I think it's going to these events and things, you have to look back to the very first moment you met that person. What was the vibe and energy? if the vibe and energy is genuine, then that is going to set the tone for how the relationship will move forward. If the energy is sexual, that is what that person is looking for from you. And whether you decide to tune into that relationship and be that mirror for that person, because we all are mirrors in everyone's lives, you're going to play that role. And we all set into roles, whether we even consciously know it or not. We put ourselves in roles, and you have to be very aware and very conscious, especially being in LA, and the decisions you make and the people you interact with. And I always say, like, what was the initial vibe and energy you got with anything in any situation?
Right. No, that's very true. We kind of covered most of this, but I had wanted to ask you about why mindset is so important to you. I mean, I think we've like even dive, we've gotten in there even deeper than mindset, but is there anything you particularly want to say about why mindset's so important to you?
Yeah, mindset is everything. I really am trying to help people now with mindset more than anything, because our mindset creates our reality. Now they're actually saying that the heart actually thinks, the heart has thought, it actually signals the brain. So there's lots of new studies. And I just think it's so important for you to watch yourself talk, watch the triggers in your mind of what sets you off, what gets you upset, and kind of go deep and ask yourself, why is this making me upset? Because it always roots back to us. It's always us, whether we like it or not. Whatever someone does to us, I believe in karma. I believe in, past lives and things. So I do believe sometimes there are karmic patterns that come up in our life that we do have to go through in order to rid that and move forward. But how are you coming to your relationships? How are you showing up for life? If you're showing up with kind of an energetic vibration and a mindset of like, I just don't think I'm going to get it. Like, you're actually so damn right. You're probably not. And and I was in this state too for a long time, just the I don't know state. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't really want to make a decision because I'm not sure. So I don't want to be yes or wrong. You're going to be in that I don't know floating stage forever. And it's awful and it's not fun. And then there's the state of just waking up every day where you acknowledge your feelings and acknowledge, if you're going through something, and that's okay. But our emotions are not us. Our emotions are guidelines of where we're going in our life, if we're off track or on track. So I think it's important to realize, like, set your tone, keep a positive mindset always. I really try to take pride in that. I always find the good in people. I always try to find the positive in everything, because everything happens for a reason. Everything is a learning lesson, and teaching you, how to move forward, how to live a better life. And the more unconscious you are about it, the harder it is to trek through that. The more conscious you can be about it, the easier things are going to come to you, the more your flow is in flow, and you're just all these opportunities. And when you're stuck and stagnant, it feels like crap. And when you're in flow and you're meeting people and you're going out and there's just this like energy and things happening, and it's awesome. So I really say start from the morning, like it's going to be an awesome day. And just, I think it's really honestly why we're here is to keep our vibration at a steady level of where it's at, wherever it is at, and rise, and always trying to continue to raise your vibration. So just daily basis.
I totally agree with you. And I find that a lot of people I explain energy vibrations in a pretty basic way of 3 different levels, right? Low, medium, I call mediocre, and high. And even if you can get up a little bit, and most people are living on the mediocre,
Yeah.
like you said, you're just sort of waking up, you're doing your thing, things are okay, right?
Yeah. And then the highs are high, the lows are low. You're kind of here.
You're
And
still
when you can,
between these two. But then,
yeah,
like you said, get up in the morning and have a positive thought. Like, what's going to go right today? And something that I always tell people, and I talk about in the self-perception book, is go to the mirror every morning and look at yourself and compliment yourself on something. Start out the day like complimenting you, because people are always waiting for somebody else to compliment them. Like, that's so backwards, right? Like,
yeah,
you
so
should
backward.
yourself.
Yeah.
But I want to talk also briefly. I don't want to keep everybody here all day, but what you're doing, you started a group, you've got some things going on out there in LA to make this competitive comparison Hollywood something just a little bit easier flow, like you say, flow, and to have get people on the same page because by doing what you're doing, then everything can change as far as
Yeah.
the energies go that surround people in a competitive and comparison world. So, what is your group about? And what are you doing out there to begin changing that?
Yeah, so recently I just started a tribe called Spiritual Goddess Tribe. It's open to all beings, all male and female. But basically, we meet twice a month, every second Sunday of the month, and we just get together for community, and we have open circles and talk about what we're all going through and the energies and things that are happening. And we do a guided meditation, and I have kind of some awesome healers coming in. Actually, this month we have a friend of mine doing some breath work, another one doing a chakra color workshop, and just diving more into our bodies and how we can really be conscious and, again, acknowledge whatever we're feeling and honoring it, but moving forward from it and continuing to hold a great mindset. So, yeah, I just am really calling forth all the people that are kind of waking up now or already are awake and just need a community and a really cool place to go for inspiration. And also really calling forth all the artists in LA because it's so divided. A lot of people feel alone. They don't necessarily have maybe a lot of friends or like family at all out here. I know I don't have my family out here. I'm from Canada, Vancouver. So I'm very thankful for my close friends that have always had my back, and it's awesome. But I just want to really create a group and situation that anyone and everyone can come to, and we're gonna just keep growing it. And it's small right now, but every meetup is gonna be a little bit different, but awesome, and really consciously connecting with the
So
community.
when you say artists, I'm thinking actresses, actors, musicians, dancers, all of the above, right?
Directors, producers, photographers,
Right.
anyone creative.
So, but what you'll also be learning in this is how to protect yourself from energies, like you said, even with the people you have, the experts you have coming, and maybe, and you'll also be sharing, like when you get in these auditions, maybe this is a way to handle this where the whole room can feel the positive energy and the whole vibe can shift in the room. And if it's not, then maybe you need to rethink while you're there. And
Yeah.
when we spoke about that, I thought that that is such an awesome thing because there are so many people out there, like you said, of all ages, but they're by themselves for the most part. I mean, they have friends,
Yeah.
but they're away from their families because their families are. They're like, I'm going to Hollywood, or I'm going to New York. I'm going to go do this stuff. And so, by having a supportive group like yours, and from what I've seen of it so far, is really going to change the way com- and competitive things are in Hollywood and in those industries. And I am just so thankful that you, being as successful as you already are coming forward to now put this out there that, okay, you may be great at what you do. You have actresses, actors, all these other people. They're great at what they do, but they feel that competitive pull, struggle inside, which is the ego self, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
by them being able to notice that, then everything around them is going to change. So if they don't know that they need you in their life yet, they do, and they will. So I would encourage anybody that's watching this that even knows anybody that's in that competitive. And I know that you also said that eventually you will be getting it to where maybe you can have an online group here and there because people that aren't out in LA. I mean, because like I said, this kind of stuff, even for the entertainers, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we're gonna start doing lives as well. So the events will probably be streamed live. So the more kind of people are coming forth and things, we're getting requests to do live and do online. So that's another thing we're gonna be working
That is awesome. So I'm super excited for what you're doing. And
on.
now, what do you tell people? What is it that you'd want to tell people in the entertainment business?
I want to tell people to really stay true to yourself and just don't compare. Don't compare yourself because we're all so different. Every gig and opportunity is so different. Everyone's opinion is so different. And those are all the main factors in castings and in moving forward. And I think even aside from the Hollywood entertainment thing, like in your everyday life, just stay true to yourself, and make decisions for you. Stop trying to please everyone around you. I was a people pleaser for so long, and it left me feeling empty and alone and by myself. I pleased everyone else, and here I am. Like, so it really is so key to just really, like, what do you want in that moment, and get it. And that's not selfish. I always thought, you know, going for what you want is a little bit selfish, and I can't always do that because I don't want to step on people's toes or hurt feelings or this or that. And at the end of the day, what anyone else feels is their own shit. And excuse my language, I have a bit of a potty mouth. But it's their own thing, and that is not your problem. And whether they take it great, whether they don't take it great, I mean, it's not your problem. So do what's best for you and stay true to your heart, and just really move forward in your life with a positive mindset.
And let's just touch really quick on the people pleaser thing. And if someone is not happy with a decision that you're making, then, like you said, that's their issue, but that's also a sign, right? That's
Yeah.
a sign from your intuition saying, okay, we are not aligned here. You are not bringing out the best in me. Let's just rethink how we're going to do this. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you, like, all of a sudden, start kicking all your friends to the curb, but it means that, in my eyes, start slowly backing away, or if you can kick them to the curb, go ahead. I mean, you can just totally,
Yeah. And
but
communication is key, I
yeah,
think, too, because of course, it's not always about like, oh, me, mine, me. It's not about ego, like in that sense. It's about what do I truly want for my soul, from my heart in this moment. And if someone doesn't accept that, that's okay. I will address it and communicate with that person, and we'll come to an agreement in how we can move forward, or we won't. And that's okay. And if they flow out of your life, then that's what's meant to happen.
and I think that's what, what I was saying is that what you just said. If they start to flow out of your life, let it flow. Let them,
Yes.
let it go.
And
Don't
let
go
it go.
chasing it, right? Don't go
Yeah.
chasing it. It just makes me
Hmm.
cringe thinking about it because we've all done it.
I know.
We've all done it, and then we wonder why it doesn't work. Well, the signs were right there, and we just weren't listening.
Yeah.
So I love that. Now, what motivates you to keep going for your dreams? As it's a lot of work. I mean, life is work anyway, but it should be soulful work. But if you get put into certain positions where it may feel a little bit uncomfortable, sometimes you got to work through it. So, what motivates you to keep going for your dreams?
Well, it's so funny because ever since I was a little girl, I started out as a competitive gymnast. Then I went into dance. I was singing. I was doing pageants. I've done cheerleading. I've literally done kind of any entertainment thing you can do. And I loved it. But then I was in LA, and I kind of got to this point where I was like, wow, was I doing all this out of ego because I want the stardom, or was I doing it from my heart? And I really sat with myself, and majority of it was, of course, my heart. I love it. It's my soul. It's how I express my emotions. It's how I am able to like feel who I really am. But of course, there was a little bit of an ego side to it where I did find out about myself that I kind of was lacking love for myself. I was searching outside myself, for more validation or more love, and that's where I had to sit down with myself and just kind of like go deep in really showing up to everything I'm doing from my heart. And now what motivates me most is the fact that I go through my daily life consciously and how I'm moving forward in all my projects and opportunities, and not just working with anyone, not just doing any freebie project here or there because it's for the tape or whatever else. I'm really motivated to go into these projects consciously because I know I'm going to attract and meet other conscious people, and all those projects are going to come that are resonating at my vibration as well, because I've done a lot of work on myself. I've also been working with an awesome shaman, Alon Torres, who has helped me in my mindset completely. So, yeah, I just really am excited to share with everyone my own view on life and how I think it's helped me, because it's really been my example is my own life. So I want to share that with people. I want to help people reach their goals through mindset and meditation and energy. And that's what really fuels my fire, as you can probably tell. It's just like excitement in me. And I think that's what everyone needs to look at. Like, whatever motivates you, it should excite you. Like, you should be doing the things that excite you and light you up in life. And I know everyone gets into an ego state where it's like, well, yeah, but reality sets in, and I have bills to pay, and I have this or that, and I have excuse. And I'm sorry, but they are excuses. And I know, yes, some of them are valid, but you have to make decisions each day to start removing those blocks in your mind, little steps you can take to remove those excuses or those things that are holding you back in order to truly do what you want to do, because that's what you should be doing, because everyone is here to live the life they want to live. Whether they choose that or not, it's their choice. But I really hope to inspire people to live every day to the fullest and how they want to live it.
Yes, I love that. I totally agree. We all are here to experience love and joy, and to give love and joy. And if we're finding that life's a struggle, it's time to rethink it. And so I can tell the enthusiasm, the excitement, that is your soulful purpose. Okay.
Thank you.
Feel it. So I'm super excited that you're throwing all of your attention into this. And the best expert is somebody that's been through it, right? That's the best expert, because
Yep.
you really can't help someone else if you don't know what it already feels like. So, and it's
Exactly.
come out the other side. So you have your tribe, which we'll put a link to
Yeah.
after live. Is there anything else that you want to let us know about that's going
Yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of calling in people that want to move forward in their lives, that are really looking for mindset coaching. I also do oracle card readings, so they are very individual to each person, and can provide some huge insight into life issues, questions, just any kind of messaging. Again, everything's energy, so your higher self will find the message that you're needing to hear. So I've had some really epic sessions with people that are like aha moments. So yeah, people can reach out to me on social media if they want to do mindset coaching or oracle card readings. And then stay tuned for spiritual goddess stuff. And I also have a dance company called Sass and Stilettos. So any dancers or kind of performers that are interested in joining us with that, I'm always looking for more dancers too.
Ooh, that's awesome. Now, as you say, to reach you on social media, is there a certain social media platform that you prefer for them to message you
Yeah.
on?
I think Instagram's probably my number one. I'm in. It's Shayla Justine, Shayla Justine, Justinee.
All right, and we'll put that link also below here. This will also be available in iTunes podcast once we upload this, and we'll put all that information on there too. So if you didn't catch all that, you can see it in the notes here or in the podcast notes if you're listening to this on podcast. So I mean, I could have asked you a whole lot more questions, but we're going to have to split this up so that people can get on with their day, because when I'm trying to catch up on things, I actually listen to it while I'm working out. So, some people will hear
Love
it
it.
tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, because I one thing I would like to cover with you, which we'll talk about again, is how you got to where you are. How did this start as a child and connecting inwards? Because I know I had my own experiences with it, and I know you did as well. And I think it's great for people to hear these things, because some of us can relate. Other people may have children that they're seeing these same things go on, and they're just not sure what's going on. And so to hear somebody that's been through, because we all have different experiences with it, I think that that's just such a huge help. And it almost gives people a relief, because they think, okay, this is no, I'm okay. This is normal. And this is what I can do with this now. I can actually use this to create the life that I desire. So, yeah, so stay tuned, because Shayla will be back and we'll be talking about those type of things next time. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you. So good to talk to you guys. Thank you.